If you are a woman who has a hard time just doing nothing, if you are one of those women who take a week off from your job, you plan a vacation, you plan just downtime with the people that you love, and by the time you look up, you realize that a week or maybe 2 weeks has gone past, and you have been running just as hard or not, or maybe even harder than when you were on your 9 to 5 job or running your business. That you really, when you really sit with yourself and think about it, you don't really know how to rest. You don't know what it really looks like for you to slow down without feeling anxious, without feeling like you need to be doing something. If that is you, today's video is for you. I'm Melissa Brown, also known as the Soul Love Coach. And my goal, my mission is just this one thing, is to help you to do your inner work, to help you to reconnect and remember who you are in God and who you are not, so that you can live the life that you have been called to live and that you deserve to live. So today, I want to talk about why it's so hard for you to rest. And it, for those of you that know me, you know I am always telling on myself. And my sister is coming to visit tomorrow. Tomorrow is July 1st. So she's coming to visit for 4th of July weekend. And, of course, we want to do all the things whenever somebody is coming for a visit. And this is probably the first time, and I don't even remember when, that my sister has called. I'm the oldest, so she's my baby sister. She has called and she said, "Sis, I just want to come and see you." Because so often when my family comes to see me in Texas, they're really not coming to see me. They're coming because Melissa's getting ready to do a retreat, or I'm doing some sort of event or VIP weekend, and I need support with my children. And so they will fly in, come to town, spend a week, sometimes two, here to support me and help me with the kids. And so to hear my sister say, "I just want to be with you. I'm not coming to see the kids, even though she's going to see them, but her focus is me." And I began to notice something. And you just let me know if you can relate. The closer we have been getting to the date of her arrival, the more my anxiety has started to creep up. And I really began to kind of sit with myself and say, "Melissa, what is this about? Like, this is your sibling. This is not a client. This is not someone you don't know well. This is family." And what I noticed as I kind of sat in my morning rituals, where I kind of listen for God to give me direction, give me clarity, um, straighten up my edges and get me right. One of the things that God kind of revealed to me is I am still stuck in an old pattern of, am I enough? So the anxiety that I've been feeling, that the anxiety that cannot coexist with rest. So although I have kind of pulled back with work, the month of June, my son did not have a million basketball tournaments. So it has been prime season to just sit with your feet up, to just read, to write, to just do things to pour back into yourself. And so this is perfect timing for her to come. But again, the thought of her coming here to see me, I want you to hear my language, to see me, is starting to create anxiety. And again, sitting with the voice of God, God began to show me how the undercurrent question of, am I enough, is still there. And what do I mean by, am I enough? If you grew up in a family that's a little bit critical, And with as many women as part of my community who have told me their story, I know y'all understand what I'm talking about, where you're always kind of looking at yourself and wondering, did I dot all the I's? Did I cross all the T's? Did I get everything right? Because if you're from a family where they're going to tell you where you didn't get it right, again, it creates a sense of anxiety and unconscious hamster wheel behavior that has you kind of trying to make sure all the bases are covered. And this, even as I thought about it, because God has a way of challenging you to go beyond the surface. God was like, this isn't even about, is the house going to be clean enough? Do I got enough? Are the towels new enough? Are the pillows fluffy enough? Is there dog hair on the floor? Like, let me make sure all the floors are mopped. Let me make sure every bathroom is clean. This isn't about cleanliness. At the root of that, it's more about, am I what you expect as a big sister? Am I presenting myself in such a way that you would be pleased or proud of me? Do my children engage? Although she's the auntie that, everybody loves, but are my children engaged enough and talking in a way that makes you believe I'm doing a good job as a mom? Again, it's the question of, am I enough? And anytime you are questioning whether or not your being, your existence, the way you move in the world is adequate and enough, it is going to be very difficult for you to sit yourself down and rest. So this is one of the main questions that I want you to really, as you hear my story, I want you to look at your own story of why there is so much movement in your life. And when we don't think that we are enough in our being, in our accomplishments, in our existence, we begin to overcompensate by doing the most. So whether that's gifts, whether that's, oh, let me make sure I have all of these things, because what if I told you she coming to see me. And we grew up with a mama who used to say, the people don't come to see the house, they come to see you. But what if the you isn't what other people expect? And for many of us, that creates that undercurrent of constant movement, constant achievement, constant goals, constant striving that does not allow you to rest. The other thing that I got just really dropped in my spirit around this concept of why it's so hard for us to rest is this obsession with perfection. And, just to give you a little bit of grace, you didn't come up with this need to be perfect on your own. You were conditioned to be that way. And so, again, if you grew up in a family that the bar was always high, that you were always expected to be excellent, without flaw, better than other people, you know what kind of families I'm talking about. You got to be three times as good as everybody else. A B wasn't good enough. An A minus wasn't good enough. If you had the capacity to get an A plus, you should have got the A plus. And so if you grew up in that environment, it creates the unconscious need to be perfect. And here's the thing, perfection is elusive. The longer you live, the more you become aware that there is no such thing as perfect. And for many of us, for many high achieving women, for many high functioning women, one of the things that I've learned and witnessed and practiced in relationship is, if I can't be perfect, If I can't be everything you want me to be, then let me at least be useful. How many of us have connected being useful with being loved? And so, again, it is going to be very difficult for you to rest, for you to sit down within yourself, for you to be with yourself and be okay with yourself if you have connected love with being useful. That the only way to be in a relationship is for you to be needed. The only way for you to be in a relationship is for other people to utilize you in some way. And it's not always nefarious. It is not always being taken advantage of. In many ways, it is orchestrated by us, by those of us who need to always be useful because we don't know what a relationship is like where people just want us, they don't want our gifts. And so, again, particularly for the high achieving woman, particularly for the high functioning person who has literally, whether you are aware of it or not, has built a whole identity around doing the most and doing it well, doing all the things that other people can't seem to do, you can do it just like that. If you are one of those women, and I got plenty of them in my community, that y'all are always the ones being tasked because people know they can depend on you. People know ain't nobody gonna do it like you. Nobody plans a party like you. Nobody puts together a plan the way you do. Nobody organizes and strategically plans. You could put together a whole business plan in 5 minutes, where somebody else is struggling for 5 months. And we're just doing it on the fly, doing it like breathing. And for many of us, we have received accolades, affirmation, love because we've been able to do those things. But the way love then gets hooked up in your brain is I have to do these things so that I get the applause, so that I get welcomed into the room, so that I get seen, so that I get loved. But what happens when you are exhausted from all the giving, from all the strategizing, from all the let me help you out, sis, I got you? What happens then? For many of us, it is the space that we don't really talk about. It is the space where we slip into a slow depression because we have connected our worth and our value to what we can produce and what, who, and where we can perform. And it is almost a foreign concept. As much as we desire to be loved, as much as we desire for somebody to pick up the weight that we carry, but it is so foreign to us that we don't even know how to receive it when somebody says, I just want you. Truth be told, we don't believe that. Truth be told, that's the anxiety that I've been feeling with my own sister coming to visit. Do I have to solve a problem for you? No, she's the high functioning one. She's a Capricorn. she she got it together. But in my mind, can I be useful? Can I be valuable without solving a problem? Without you needing something from me, without you picking my brain, without me playing counselor for the weekend. None of those things she actually needs, by the way. But if that's the way we have hooked up love in our brains, again, we kind of can sink into a sneaky, slow depression because who am I if I'm not doing those things? Who am I if I'm not running the meeting? Who am I if I'm not transforming your life and making life better or saving your marriage? Who am I? Who are you if you aren't doing your zone of genius, your brilliance. And here's the thing, um, that type of lifestyle is exhausting. And I know it well, which makes sense when so many women, one of the first questions that I ask a woman who wants to work with me is, what do you really want? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is, I don't know. Melissa, I have no idea. And the reason why is because they have spent a lifetime catering to what everyone else wants, that they would have to sift through all of the layers of other people's expectation, of other people's projection, of other people's opinion, of their own needs to be loved in the way they have it all hooked up in their brain. They would have to sort through all of that to get down to what Melissa actually wants. So when a woman says, I don't know, what that tells me is you haven't really met yourself yet. What that tells me is you know more about what's going on out there than you do with what's going on in here. Because a woman always knows what she wants. The issue is whether or not you're connected to that woman. Here's the spiritual practice, and I'm using this language intentionally, not what I do, the spiritual practice when I find myself in this position, and this is my work that I teach to other people. So the part of why it has to be a practice is because you have to constantly keep yourself on the potter's wheel. You have to constantly be inspecting where ego is versus where your heart is. You have to constantly be checking what your motives are and what your underlying agenda is and where you have distorted love and what's required for it. So, one of my spiritual practices is to ask myself when I am constantly moving and can't find rest is this even true? Whatever the belief is, whatever the thought is in my mind that makes me think I have to get it all right, that I have to be perfect, that I have to help everybody, that I have to hold everybody's emotions and make sure everybody's good, you good, you good, you all right, you all right, I'm here for you. I have to ask myself, is it true? And 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, it is not true. I am not responsible for other people's happiness. I am not responsible for other people's emotions that are unregulated. I am not responsible to fix everything that is broken. Being used is not required to be loved. And my prayer for us in this season of freedom is that you would remember that you are already loved. That's the truth. You're already loved. The issue is whether or not you are engaged in the practices that allow you to tap into the love. Most of us are engaged in behaviors and practices to let other people know they are loved while we abandon self, while we save the love for us for later, or we hope somebody else will give us a scoop. There's nobody coming to love on you when you are not loving on yourself. Because even the love that other people want to bring to you, you won't be able to receive it until you sit and eat from your own table. This is why it is so challenging for us to rest. Didn't that blow your mind? Because a lot of times when people think, oh, Melissa, I just have a hard time resting. Oh, I need better boundaries. No, 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 no. Your boundaries, you know all about boundaries. You didn't read every book on boundaries. You didn't listen to every podcast on boundaries. The issue isn't boundaries. The issue is how you have contracted with yourself around how you're going to be loved. The issue is not boundaries, but your beliefs about what is required for you to be in relationship with the people you love. It's the belief about who you think you have to be accepted, to be seen, to be valuable. Oh, I got to be useful. And we do this even on a spiritual level with God. I got to do the most so God will love me. Let me remind you that my Bible says that while we were yet sinners, so even before you got yourself together, even before you were fully committed, while we were yet sinners, Christ loved us. You were loved from the beginning, just like a newborn baby. Who doesn't love a newborn baby? And what exactly does a baby have to do to be loved? When I ask ladies that question, they're clear and they say it without hesitation, nothing. A baby doesn't have to do anything to be loved. We can love a baby that we saw on TV, that we never met, that lives in another country. Our heart bleeds when we see babies suffering because they don't deserve that. So when did we decide that you do, that somehow you deserve to have to work for it? You have to earn it, that you're only valuable when you're going 100 miles an hour. You're only valuable when you're perfect and get it all right and take care of your children perfectly and have the cleanest house and make sure everything is done and all the bills are paid and your credit score is 750. And who told you that? Is that true? Is that true? Comparison, social media, whatever it is you are taking into your eye gate and ear gate, your mind will have you caught up in a lie, will have you caught up in stuff that ain't even true. So if this message is kind of hitting you in the gut, if you are a woman who you know intellectually, like you don't need to be taught the philosophy, you know the philosophy. In fact, you probably teach it, that you know that you function like you're still not enough, although you tell everybody else, you are more than enough. You're so worthy. You're worthy of the best. But secretly, you still in the back of your own life doing the most because you don't think you're enough. If you're still jumping through hoops in your relationships, and they don't have to be romantic, I'm talking about with your siblings, with your children, with your besties from college, if you're still doing all those things because you think the only way for you to be in relationship is if you got something to bring to the table, if you do it, if you volunteer, if you help, if you lend. But you and I both know that when they want to show you love, when they want to just show up for you, you block it. You don't even know how to receive it because you've believed the lie that the only way to get love is to be used for it. If that message is connecting to you, I want to invite you back into truth. I want to invite you into the freedom of the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. I want you to be free this week. And if you are really ready to kind of step out of the matrix that, maybe you created it yourself, maybe other people helped you to create a framework, because a lot of times things are patterns. We're just doing what other women in our lives have done. We're just doing, what you believed you had to do. And maybe at one point you did. Maybe this is how you had to survive 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But sis, that's not where you are now. It's not where you are now. This behavior now is not creating freedom, it's creating a prison. It's making exhaustion. It is severely compromising your quality of life. And I am here to announce to you that God says we are at the end of an era, that what was can no longer be. And what that means spiritually is not about, okay, so what do I got to do now? What do I got to do next? The better question is, who must you become? Who are you willing to let go of so that you can be free? So that you can be fully actualized, so that you can live without all these limits, with all this anxiety, without, oh my God, am I enough? This is your truth era. And so if you connect with that, and that's where God has been kind of pushing you and prodding you, I want to invite you to be one of the women in my fall retreat in Costa Rica, October 15th through 19th. It is an intimate retreat because the smallness of the group allows us to go deep. It allows us to really release the layers that no longer serve you. And again, not to step into a new strategy and do this and do that. You don't need more of that. We need more of you. We need more of your essence. We need more of who you were created to be in the first place, before the disappointment, before the pressure, before the perfectionism, before all the things that helped you to build this false image and this sandcastle of a life that you're having a heck of a time trying to hold together. It's the end of an era. And so if you feel called to that, I want to invite you to message me, and I will get you the application. The retreat is by application only, because I am only hosting 7 women at this intimate retreat. We are staying in a villa. It is oceanfront. We will have private chef, and the only thing you have to do is get yourself there. In addition to, once you pay for the retreat, that's all you got to do. Get yourself there and allow God to meet you so that you can actually and finally meet yourself. That's the call. Meet yourself and you will rest. You will rest. So the only other thing I will ask is, if this message, another woman needs to hear it, I would ask that you would share it with her, that you would push it through the algorithm. But I'm also coming to the place where I firmly believe that messages have timing. There is divine timing on messages, and there are certain messages that have your name on it. And so if you are listening and you've listened all the way to the end, thank you. Bless you. But if you feel so led, I would ask that you would also share it with someone else. So another sister has the opportunity, just like you, to be free. Sending you love, sending you grace and freedom. Enjoy your week. Take care. Bye bye.